Good day, everyone. This is Mark Schmidt, Superintendent of Schools for Staples Motley, with last night's update, or an update for last night's board meeting, which was Monday, October 7th, 2011. Last night's agenda was actually a pretty light agenda, both in content as well as we were missing a number of our administrators due to conferences. Real quickly on the items, the board went through the consent agenda item, which was pretty brief. Cindy Swenson presented a number of things regarding curriculum, both SMCC summary and action plan, as well as the 2011 staff development plan, which the staff development plan was pretty well presented from staff and principals at the October work session from the board. And then she also presented the updated science curriculum document, which the board did not approve last night. They followed the normal procedure, which is to receive it 1 month, and then they gives them a month to review it and ask questions. Then it's typically approved the next month. Financial items. John Moore presented the financial report just regarding school district's investments. Personnel items. There was a contract approved for Jennifer Grunwald. We welcome Jennifer on board. Jennifer will be here for the first half of the school year. The board also approved Renee Jacobson as an special ed para at the high school, and Paula Seelan as a special ed para in Motley. So we welcome those two individuals, both Renee and Paula. Barb Blanchard was approved as a special ed para for Motley Elementary, and Melissa Birga was approved for a halftime para for Motley Kindergarten, as our Motley Kindergarten numbers are fairly large. So we've moved more time from Tony Svam into that, who's our Title I teacher, as well as a halftime para. And then the winter extracurricular coaches were approved, and namely we welcome Ray Gildow as our head basketball and Bruce Furman as our new assistant JV coach. The reports, there were a few reports. Probably most notably, the report was a finance report from a finance committee meeting, and I'll go through that one real briefly with people. That report is actually, or the numbers from that report is actually on the attachment to this email. And I'm just going to go through that real quickly if you want to open that up or follow along. It goes through last year's budget, this year's budget, and next year's projected budget. So looking at last year, we ended last year, 2010-2011, with a unassigned deficit of $384,000. Now, unassigned is our fund that, for the most part, pays for most of all of us and most other things. A month or two ago, I went through and talked about assigned, unassigned, the different categories within the budget. But the unassigned is the one that we really live and breathe by when it comes to our finances. That one began last year with a fund balance of $1.752 million and ended with a fund balance of $1.368, which left a deficit of $384,000. So then the question became, well, what part of that $384,000 was not reoccurring dollars? And typically a lot of our reoccurring dollars are fuel, electricity, personnel certainly is a big part of it. So of that $384, what were one-time expenses? And if you take a look at on this sheet, it's lines 8 through 14. And those were one-time expenses. Like we had some construction at Motley, the high school. You'll see online learning. We had a peak of online learning expenses last year that we've since reduced by $52,700, at least projecting to reduce that by. You'll see some high school wiring, our wireless system. ALC building, we're projecting to, with efforts from the high school, projecting to reduce the number of kids that go off to ALC. So that would reduce the bill we pay for that. We're estimating $75,000. That's about half. that bill. Last year that bill was $153,000. And then we've done some post-secondary contract revision with CLC, which we're expecting to save $20,000 on that. Of that leaves us with $309,000 that were one-time expenses from last year, which really helps whittle away that $384,000 deficit. So if you take a look, and that is reflected, the difference of those two is reflected on line 19, which leaves us with an ongoing expense of deficit of $74,900. Okay, so but if you look at that, then we then asked ourselves for this year, well, what added cost or what less revenue are we going to have for the 2011-2012 school year? So now these are projections. Where the numbers before were actuals, these numbers are going to be projections. Well, we have line 19, which is the carryover of $74,900, which is a deficit. We have a decrease in our what if. That's basically our student enrollment, our state funding of $46,000. We have a projected fuel increase of $22,500. We have an increase of workman's comp of $40,000. And that one's pretty definite. I mean, we know what our workman's comp bills are going to be. And there is an increase in, the final one is an increase in TRA, which is the teacher's retirement fund. That expense for the district is going up by 0.5% this year at a cost of $22,500. So that leaves us with a total projected deficit for this year of $205,900. That's line 24. Okay, so we can certainly look at this year and look at things we can do to reduce that deficit, but the vast majority of our bills are pretty well committed, even a lot of them on this list, whether it be workman's comp, TRA, fuel costs, those type of things. But we can look at trimming some corners for this year. But that leaves us with a projected fund balance of $1.162 for the end of this year. That's line 26. Now our final thing that we needed to look at was next year. And our next year budget is, there you can see some line 30. We carry that deficit of $205,900 over. We then look at our what if, and our what if takes a pretty big hit next year at $290,000, negative $290,000, and the reason for that is we have a large senior class graduating this year of 136, 137 last I had heard, with an average kindergarten coming in somewhere between maybe 90 and 100. And this high school, the senior class is really, I believe it's our last large class graduating, but that's where we take that hit. We have another increase of $22,500 for TRA. That will be around for a total of 4 years at a 0.5% increase every year. And then we do have some added revenue, which you see on line 33 beginning next year, which is a 3rd and 4th grade literacy fund. Those are funds that the state will be paying school districts based on reading scores. It's really the first time in state history where the state pays based on student performance. And right now the state has us projected at $65,000. Though that's a bit of a moving target because they will be using this year's test scores, and obviously we don't know what those are at this point. That leaves us with a total deficit, if the bottom line, if you will, for next year of $453,400. What the finance, because of that projected deficit going into next year, the Finance Committee has charged administration with the task of coming up with roughly $450,000 in budget reductions. The timeline for that will be to have that list preliminarily put together by the early December for potential board review at the December board meeting. So the bottom line, if you will, is row 34, which is a deficit of $453,400 projected for next year. If you have any questions on these, please feel free to give me a call or get a hold of me, and I can clarify those with you. But you have that on your email as an attachment. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Enjoy the beautiful fall weather we've been having, and have a great school year. Thank you. Bye.